So as we were just talking, all right, and in a previous video, I had mentioned how a huge part of my coming into Lord of the Rings, of being welcomed into Middle Earth, was the OneRing.net, and how I'm sad at sort of the inflation or escalation of rumors into like an actual story now, right? About Tom Shippey, about the Amazon writers, whatever it may be, that it's not founded in facts that have been validated. Mm-hmm. But as a teenager, like loving these movies, I would go to the OneRing.net every single day. I mean, anytime I opened a web browser, Yahoo would pop up and I would type muscle memory, the OneRing.net. I'd check out, Today in Middle Earth. I would look to see what stories they were covering. They did a great job of including articles that at that time, as the trilogy was ending, including articles that dealt with what the actors were doing now, what was coming next. They did a great job of following and promoting the actors from the trilogy. But we were just talking about, we've been thinking a lot more about that entry into Middle Earth that we both have had, because we've been starting to hear from kids. Yeah. Kids have started to contact us with their Tolkien stories. We talk about Isaac. All right, Isaac, his Google Voice message opened one of our episodes recently, and when we heard it, we were both like, "Oh my gosh!" Like, for me, it was a reminder that there are kids like Isaac that are going to be listening to our podcast, that are going to be reading along with us, and it sobered me, man. I was like, whoa, that is a huge responsibility. But also, it put me back in touch with that 12, 13-year-old Lane Smith sitting in that theater, just along for the ride with my uncles and my dad and my cousins, going, Lord of the Rings. What? Mm-hmm. Wow. Yeah. Wow. Yeah. And going from, what is that I'm seeing commercials? It looks kind of strange. Why is there a dude dressed like Rasputin? To, I will love this the rest of my life. Yeah. It will change who I am. It will inspire me to be a different person than if I wouldn't have known these stories. In a good way. It will help make me a better person. But we were just talking about, so Isaac, all right? Get a time machine and bring 13-year-old Lane Smith to right now. Bring 11-year-old Ezra to right now. Yep. And we're looking for news on the show. Yeah. And what are we reading as news? Is this kind of stuff? And how we were talking about how that's kind of a sad thing.
Well, and that's the thing. And things, and this is just as things are right now. This is just the state of things currently. But that's going to change, because we've walked into the dining room. I'll just say it. I'm in the dining room too, and I'm serious. And you could come sit down at our table, because there are a lot of kids. We're teachers. I teach high school, and I have students who were saw me carrying my Lord of the Rings book. This is back when we were doing Two Towers, and I was bringing it in, reading, taking some notes. No, I'm sorry, it was Return of the King here just recently. This year. And so they were interested. Look, what is that book? They wanted to know. Mm-hmm. And so there we go. I get this chance, the same chance that I had, that was given to me by a librarian back when I was in 6th grade, to sort of say, when that story was pitched to me and I heard about it, I was like, give me more. Where is this? And so then I got The Hobbit. I got to read The Hobbit and just went like crazy, right through the series. Yeah. For a lot of people, for most of the people that listen to our podcast, the movies were that gateway. It was this awesome gateway to then, let's go find these books and pick them up and read more. And for me, as a teacher who wants to promote literacy and kids reading more, this show for Amazon is huge.
It's a gateway.
I think there's tons of kids who are going to see the show, then they're going to want to come somewhere and talk about what happens, in the show. And I don't I guess when they're with that, I mean, you remember, right? Like that big grin, looking around, wanting to sit down with people who are like you, who want to talk about this series, and you're hoping that they're passionate, they're super enthusiastic about it. You know, you want it to be a positive, great experience, right? Mm-hmm. I don't think kids are looking for a bunch of adults sitting around a table super grumpy. And I am kind of I feel like the last couple of videos have been, number one, necessary, because I want people to know there is another table where we're just playing games and we're just we're just chatting and we're
the
just
loud
reading
table.
the books. Yeah, and I'm hoping that we're loud enough that you don't have to worry about all that other noise that's going on over by the door.
That's a great point.
To the kitchen. I don't think you need to worry about it. I think you can come over here, sit, hang out, talk, send us your Tolkien story. All of that good stuff. You know, I mean,
you made another good analogy. You painted another good visual when you said, I don't think we recorded this. I think we were just talking in between, and you were like, you know, sometimes when stuff's getting serious in the dining room, you're in a restaurant, you're at a tavern, you need a couple hobbits to jump up on a table and sing a song and cause some mischief.
Right. Yeah.
You need it.
Right. Exactly. Like you want, that's the spirit, I guess, here on an Unexpected Podcast. That's what we're all about. And I just hope that these kids who are going into this, and this is just a reminder to people, whether you're a podcast or you're a YouTube channel or whatever, that kids are going to come and they're going to consume your coverage, your commentary, your reactions to the show. And I would just say keep that in mind, because we can go from having a kid who really likes the show to a kid who then likes the show and goes to the books. You know, like you can help be a part of that and make sure that this is a really good experience for those kids. Versus like what I'm worried about and what I see array of this starting to form is that we're fans who have been here. We were there in the beginning, right? And we know about like the film adaptation. We were around for that, and we are going to be upset if it doesn't meet that level or meet certain things. And then we're going to let you know about it. And then all of a sudden,
and we're going to take as many people with us as we possibly can.
And I don't want that. I don't want that at all. I want kids to, I would just say, take a look at it through the lens of these youngsters, these boys and girls who are coming in, watching this and seeing these really awesome characters and saying, I want to know more. And if it's more movies, if it's then like, now I want to go watch the movies. And then, okay, what else is left? There's books. Okay, let me go check out the books too. There's podcasts talking about this. There's YouTube channels.
Yeah.
Let's go talk with those people. One thing that Isaac said is that like it was that he didn't have a lot of people who were into Tolkien that were talking about this right now. And I'll say this, there's not really a lot of people, not a large amount of people compared to other fandoms talking about this.
Yeah.
So with that, let's be careful and cautious about the rumor mill and getting, soiling this cake in their mind. These kids are coming in. It's like a birthday party, man, and they're ready to go in this dining room, right? And they're so excited, right? But you're over at the door and you're running in, scaring them, and you're causing this sort of like, you don't want this cake. They're just kids. So that's another thing I would.
I didn't know kids were allowed in this restaurant. What sort of establishment is this?
What is this? Yeah.
I know the chef. Okay, I've been in the kitchen.
Right. Yeah. So it's just keep that in mind. I mean, am I wrong in that lane? Like, I think that's...
No, I think we were wrapping up. We had just finished we've done these videos back to back to back, okay?
Right.
Because we just have a lot to say, and we honestly we made a great point, as you made it. You said that we have an investment in this community. We have skin in the game. We've been fans over half of our lives. We can share our voice too. If we have like issues with the way other people are presenting pretty serious I don't even want to call it news, but serious topics, and we have a different opinion, because as of right now it's all opinions, none of it's fact, then we have the freedom to do that as well, to voice our possibly different opinion on matters. The fact that we would rather approach everything with the show through a positive lens, that to not panic until there's actual confirmation of something, and then not even to panic, to try and see it as, like Patrick McKay said in his recent tweet, that this is a group of people coming together, setting out to make an epic show. They're not sitting there going, how can we be a huge disappointment? How can we all come together and let down a fandom who is dying for more Middle-earth content?
Right.
And also breaking the narrative, the false narrative, that there are overzealous, power-hungry, uncompromising studio execs, and then the lowly artists just trying to carry out a vision.
Yeah.
Patrick McKay illuminated for us that is not the case.
Right.
That is a fallacy. Like, that's not something that happens. Most of the time, almost all the time, he stated, you have a group of people that are contributing ideas and perspectives and creativity on the exec side and on the actor, director, artistic side. And that anytime you hear someone saying the contrary, it's not usually true. Like, they're not trying to sabotage. And in this case, you could look at Payne and McKay as sort of like execs as well as creatives. And they're spelling out for us that that's not what's going on. That creativity and creating a quality good show is not being compromised for some other agenda. So I want it to be. I want us to look at this thing, especially with those words from him, in a positive light for our sakes, for older fans' sakes, and especially for kids, because I want them to approach this with hope. I want them to approach this with excitement and energy. Yes. And I think kids are resilient to it anyway. Yeah. And I think kids are resilient to it anyway. But I don't want even one like 10, 12, 13-year-old kid to go, oh, geesh, there's really, because kids are so smart now too. Like, they are so much further ahead where we were when we were, Isaac's age. I don't want them sitting around going, I don't know, maybe this show's not going to happen, or maybe it's not going to be as true to Tolkien as it could be, or maybe these aren't really good guys and girls. Like, oh man, now I don't even care. I'm just going to get interested in something else. Like,
for sure,
less drama. I want less drama. So, and I think that's all we're trying to do is, like, let's pump the brakes. Let's look at this thing positively. We have small eyes and ears that are not really small, like very, very important, that are watching, that are listening, and let's just consider them.
No, for sure, because they want to be a part of this, and they're going to. There are youngsters out there right now who have never even, heard of this, and so I mean, again, most likely, the show will come out and they won't have seen any of this or whatever, and they're just going to go in there and experience it. But so that's actually a great thing. Quite frankly, that's a great thing. Go in there just like you did when you're in the theater. You're shocked. You loved it. Now let's go get more of this. And then once you were consuming the books and stuff, then you did turn to like a podcast or a news outlet or whatever, and you tried to get more and have that type of discussion. So going forward, for both of those groups we've been talking about, that I keep that, and they will. I'm sure that they will. And there's positivity there for sure. And I know, but like the other thing I would tell my students, Lane, in 9th grade when they're writing a report about the Lord of the Rings TV show. That's been created by Amazon, and they came to me and they said, "Here are my sources." We would ask, like, are how legitimate are those sources? Like, and then like I'm challenging my kids when you're writing a report and you're doing that to look at the source, evaluate the source, determine whether it's an authentic source. Is it primary, secondary, etc.? What are they quoting? And I think if you looked at this, and if my 9th graders went at this, they would say they got nothing.
Unfounded. Really, unfounded.
We don't really know what, we don't even know what their sources are. They're a source that's secondary, that is reporting hearsay.
Honestly, really what they've been doing too is they've been reacting to what fans have been saying. The OneRing.net's video was all like, well, look, okay, well, and they were getting distracted almost by all the different people commenting, and they were just saying stuff that they had heard as well. And it's just like, it's like a game of telephone. It's a game of telephone, as.
Well, so, and I would here's another thing I would tell my students, right? When you're gonna in a source, if you're gonna put a blog as your source, I'm gonna
even bounding into comics.
Right.
Come on, man.
Probably. Yeah. So, and we would go look at it, and there's, when they do their annotated bibliography, we look at those, we try to figure, like there's a lot where we teach them to go in there and look for whether or not this is, an authority in a given area, subject, or whatever. And I would just say these kids are smart enough to go look at that and say, that isn't like, so I don't know. And also kids know it, to be point blank about this, they know what clickbait is. And so they know about it more than we do, and they're using it to their advantage, some of them, which is fantastic. They're making a bunch of money off of it, but it's just kind of
pick their brains.
I mean, really, seriously. But keep it in mind that there's some youngsters out there who really want to enjoy the series, and they want to talk about it in an academic, intellectual way, and there are great resources that both of those sources have and things. There's we're going to be talking about it here, but at our table in the dining room, we will be a voice that's counter to rumor, hearsay, and gossip, And I would just say when we hear it, we're going to say, we haven't heard anything yet. When we talked about stuff on the podcast, it came from Amazon. It was like the people who were in charge running it had given us maps and had given us some quotes and had done a little reel about like some of the writers and things like that.
And it was public knowledge too. It wasn't any kind of like
no.
Yeah.
Yeah. It wasn't it wasn't an inside source
no
given
spy
here and there.
or leaks or
anything. Be careful about that
Yeah.
kind of stuff because it can be misleading, and that's all I want to say. It can be misleading. And then if you're again, just get ready, get hyped, get excited for this. I think it's going to be awesome.
Yep.
There's going to be a lot to talk about. There's going to be a lot to learn. I mean, Lane and I have said there's a lot for us to learn about the Second Age. I would love to go to some of these different places and see what the resources are. What do they know? What are some of the, let's focus on that. Take that approach and teach people. Instead of being a gatekeeper, be an instructor, be a guide by the side. Take a youngster in or whoever, a new fan, doesn't matter. Bring them into the fandom. And let's be welcoming. Let's be, let's take it, I guess, with that lens.
Let's speculate on who these actors and actresses are going to play. I haven't seen much of that. I want to know who we think
that's fun.
That's the exciting stuff. And that's the stuff I remember, honestly, from the OneRing.net. It was more so for Two Towers and Return of the King, but it was and even The Hobbit, I guess, when different actors were being kind of leaked, it was like, well, who are they going to play?
Right.
What role are they taking on? Who could they be in this film? I remember the guy who played Alfred in The Hobbit, the Master of Lake Town's little peon guy.
Yes.
Yeah, I remember, I think it was the OneRing.net, man, a fond memory. There was a theory that, and I think this was just speculation, I don't think it was trying to be misleading or anything. They thought that maybe because of his likeness, he was very, some of his physical characteristics were very similar to Frodo, that they were going to show Frodo's parents, that they're going to show Drogo and I don't even know Frodo's mom. Do you know her name? I don't. And that they were going to somehow try to work them into the backstory with Gollum. And I thought, what a cool, that's fun speculation. It's not negative. It's creative. It dares you to dream. And you're right. That's a good point. That we're not saying that everything that we're picking a couple things that have been the loudest that we have trouble with and that we just disagree with. But there are a lot of good things that have happened and that can continue to happen. That things that kids can enjoy. Kids that are, 10, 12, 13, and kids that are 30 and 32, 31,
That's
32, whatever we are. So
that's right.
It's a good thing, man. We look forward to I don't know, all the speculation to come. It's going to be good.
Well, and so here's where it's at. We're at the Green Dragon, all right, and we're going to have a good time. All right, we're going to get some music, some entertainment, get your books out. So come enjoy that. Yeah. We actually have been doing, and I'm just going to throw this out here for folks in the future. Typically, this is actually kind of atypical for Elaine and I to to even this has been going on for over a month and a half or something, and we just kept saying we're not going to talk about it. We don't know anything about it, and then we just finally were like, all right, fine. Once we learned about it, we a little upset. We want to change the kind of feel and the vibe that's going on there in the quote fandom.
Yes.
There's another table here, and there are other tables who are saying the same thing that we are, and that will all change. But like. So get ready for more of that kind of stuff here on this channel. We've been doing, we're going to do some daily stuff. We're going to be doing, we went back to the Lord of the Rings. We're talking about characters there.
Yep.
Eventually, we're prepping right now to kind of get ready for some of that Second Age stuff, Silmarillion things. That's a lot of fun. That's going to be a very interesting.
We're diving into the Hobbit too. The podcast we're about to record this weekend, Scouring of the Shire, and then we're getting into the Grey Havens, and then we're looking to take a little bit of a break, but then we're going to be getting into the Hobbit and hopefully finishing that up within like a half a year, I think, reasonably, and then dive in heavy into the Silmarillion to try and catch up to where the show is going to be. So
right, it's gonna be a lot of fun, of fun. So
man.
Again, please like, subscribe, leave a comment down below. If you have a youngster who's interested in listening to a podcast, it's just literally. All we do on the podcast, by the way, is talk about the books.
Yep.
It's extremely positive, and we share Tolkien stories, and that is literally it. We keep it that way, and it will remain that way. So it's a really fun time, and so we look forward to that. But all right, friends. Well, as always, Frodo lives.
Oh, I thought we were gonna say the show lives.
Oh shoot.
Oh shoot.
Darn it.